be live, and I'm realizing I have a couple other things I need to turn on for it to turn on while we start this up. Because I did not have it set. I forgot to turn back on things that I have.
Are you trying to turn on your music? What you're saying?
What?
Are you trying to turn on your music?
No.
No.
It's not what I'm actually doing right now. I should end up having all the rest of the stuff that I normally have on screen with streams actually up now.
Okay.
Alright. Now I'll get my... Oh, now I'll have the mouse get locked back into New Vegas. As it usually ends up being. Alright, so Fallout show.
But first, should we do an intro?
Maybe. I admittedly usually don't do much of an intro. Usually.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do an intro anyway. Welcome, everybody, to DJ Mucus's channel. I am your host and the most awesome person in this group, Natters01. And with me is my co-star and very best friend, DJ Mucus, who is running this stream. And then we have Faust. He's just there.
Should I leave? Do you just want a stream with DJ? I can leave, really. It's no problem for me.
I'm kidding.
If I'm just some dead weights, you need to get loose. It's okay. I understand.
Okay, fine.
No, but seriously, this is
Okay.
a...
Also with me is Faust.
Go fuck yourself. Anyway, this is a quote-unquote review on the Fallout on the Fallout TV show.
If you can't tell, a very informal one.
Which has been released on Amazon. We have watched it. We have, of course, our own opinions of it. Of course, everyone has their own opinions of it. Of course, different people, different opinions. Only natural. Some of it praise it, as far as I have heard and seen some of the other reviews. Some really praised it. Others, however, the complete opposite.
I think they praise. Yeah. I think it's underrated. Or not underrated, overrated. The show is overrated.
No, I of course I can't speak for either DJ or Nathan. For me, personally, my honest opinion, I have mixed feelings about this whole show. No, by all means, the show is not terrible. It is not the end of the entire Fallout franchise by our great overlord Todd Howard, as some fucking believed it would be. Those nut jobs. No, it isn't. At least in my honest opinion.
Be careful.
It might be though, but only time will tell.
No, I have, as you know, I have no idea how many seasons are coming from the show.
I
Because
think
recently
at
the
least the
first season,
second season is apparently coming.
but how many will there be in general? That was my question.
As many as Bethesda can produce anyway.
As I was saying, the first season has finished. It has already aired, we have seen it. And of course, the very famous, infamous last scene at the very end of the show. I have the picture on my screen right now, what it is showing. And again, very mixed feelings about this. But again, I am just a fucking Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout New Vegas geezer. Really. I grew up with those games, especially New Vegas. And the lore and the stories and everything else it had established until then, this was my canon. This was my story. At least, again, I can only repeat myself, only for me personally. If there are people out there saying I rather like the retcons and redesigns Bethesda made in like Fallout 4, Fallout 76, again, your
You're an
opinion.
idiot.
Thank you, Nathan. As I was saying, your opinion, again, you can like whatever you want, you can dislike whatever you want. Everyone has their own personal opinions, likes, dislikes, it's okay. Yet again, this very last thought, again, the picture I've seen here on my screen right now, I have just very mixed feelings about all of this.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been good, but it is very flawed, especially the writing for anyone in the vaults.
I think like most of the characters in the show were like flawed. The only people that were not flawed was Ghoul, aka Coop. Like I think it was like Cooper Howard. I think his last name was.
Yeah, I would say though that at least most of the people from the wasteland understand it's the wasteland and are not idealistic to the point of stupidity.
Yeah, unlike Lucy and like the other vault dwellers. Lucy, who was like considered to be the main character in the entire show, but she doesn't know Jack. Like she tries to mix like golden rule of like being nice or even or equal with other people when you're in the wasteland, which in turn really doesn't do much good for her.
Yeah. It never leads to anything good. It never leads to a good solution for her. Yet she still tries to do it every single time.
Yeah, it's like a hopeless cause for her. It's like
it's her hill to die on.
Exactly. Like the only reason why she's still alive throughout the entire season is because of luck and because the plot demands it.
Because
yeah, exactly.
Because she is the main character.
Exactly, that's why I'm saying, like, plot demands it. What about the Brotherhood of Steel? It's like, Faust, if I remember correctly, you said that, like, the Brotherhood of Steel had, like, a base somewhere in the NCR, right?
As far as I understood it, yep, they had a. You could see it as a territory within a territory.
Right. Like that part I can believe, but I do not believe that they would have uh, like the resources nor the manpower to actually rebuild another Pridwin, which is basically like the giant airship that the Brotherhood has that like floats in the air, like a giant blimp. Because as far as I'm aware, the blimp that's in the show is not the Pridwin.
As far as I understood it, it's not. I think it's a different one, I think.
Yeah, supposedly the Brotherhood built like another one at some point.
So I technically know
We're thinking
here and there things about Fallout. I think I had looked at the wiki and I think it did refer to it as that same airship.
Really?
So it is the Pridwin that flew to Boston, the same one.
Maybe. Someone
I
could
still
probably
find that kind of
double
hard to
check
believe.
that.
Damn, running low on smokes again.
I still kind of find that hard to believe.
Because you can really, guys, you can correct me if I am wrong. You can really correct me. But as far as I see it right now, isn't this blimp from the Brotherhood in the show smaller than the Pridwin?
It
almost
could
look
be
like
a
it.
matter of scaling distance away from people, and there are a couple of
Yeah.
other things that could be in play.
Yeah, I don't think it's really smaller than the Pridwin. I think it's like all about like force perspective, you know.
Could be. Again,
So
again, guys,
yeah, if we got a better image of it compared to something instead of always off in the background, then maybe we could end up better being able to get a scale. It's
Yeah, but the
always just
fact that
kind of
we
all the way in the background, which makes it difficult to actually ascertain if it's just small because it's that far away or not.
exactly.
yeah, guys, again, when I am wrong, when I am saying bullshit, just correct me, okay?
I can't fully recall if that is accurate according to the wiki. I just recalled that I think I might have spotted that before, so I wanted to note it.
And also, Nathan, I'm just a small thing aside. You shall not forget that the Brotherhood originated from the West Coast. So
No,
all
I know
the
they did.
you could say the main chapters or big chapters they are located on the West Coast, like how are they called again from DC?
The Citadel.
Yeah, the Brotherhood from Washington DC. I think they are the same one who flew over to Boston because Maxon, the eldest Maxon from Fallout 4, you also saw him in Fallout 3 just as a child.
Yeah.
So the Brotherhood not having enough resources to build another Pridwin, I'm more 50-50 about that, to be honest.
Yeah, but yeah, like other circumstances, like other factions fighting them and raiders. Most of the time, they're too preoccupied with like fighting mutants or ghouls or robots or covering toaster ovens.
And also, another side note, Nathan, do not
Stay back in California.
forget the following, because Bethesda could have retconned something or changed something.
You know they have that. They always change this shit.
Exactly. So maybe in the quote-unquote original story and history of Fallout, the Portal didn't had resources for project like this, but now in the Fallout Bethesda is creating, the Brotherhood has enough resources to build multiple Pridwins or airships like the Pridwin. But then again, just another thought of mine.
Fair enough. Also, should we be reviewing each episode in this show?
We probably don't need to do each individually.
Yeah, but like, can we at least give our thoughts for each episode?
We could. In theory, I'd have to go back to, I'd have to go back to my, I'd have to go back to my messages to you while I was watching the show to double check what was in each episode.
Yeah, me too.
Damn it. I just wanted to make this stream longer, guys.
Would you maybe start with things we do like in the show and then move on to the things we criticize and or dislike?
Well, the simple answer for things that we like, I'm pretty sure all of us agree that the Ghoul is probably the best written of the characters.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Also, can I speak?
Yep, go on, Nathan.
I also think that the props in the show are very nice and they look similar to the game.
That
And I think
too.
they look right.
Yeah, it's like Ghoul is written well. The Wastelanders are written in a sense of that they actually are they are passable. The props are done well and the cinematography is done well, but the story, no.
No. Yeah, not from a long shot. It's like they had the resources and they had some of the hope. They just didn't like utilize them properly.
Yeah.
But I think we can all agree on that visually the show is really well made.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels a lot like they had, it also, I will note, it feels like they had two writing teams. It feels like
Yeah.
Also,
it feels like they had the writing team that did all of Cooper's stuff, and they did and the passable Wastelanders, and it felt like they had the crew that was writing every Vault Dweller. Because of just how distinctly different it is that Cooper, his storyline, and the Wastelanders are all good to passable, and then the Vault Dwellers are just shit.
Yeah, but what about Maximus, the brother fire?
His is a little more wobbly. There's times.
Okay, but would you say he's just as bad That is, the Vault Dwellers are like not as bad, but still needs improvement.
Still needs improvement, but he at least isn't completely incapable of understanding the wasteland. He actually seems to roughly understand it and not just be in his own little bubble.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense too, considering that he like grew up his whole life.
Yeah.
And,
So
and because of the fact that he is literally part of the Brotherhood of Steel.
Cheyenne, stay.
Which are considered,
Don't worry.
yeah,
I won't bite unless
like,
you tell us.
I don't know how to describe them, like their goal was about survival,
I guess there's a thing or two I could show you.
and the
Sounds
preservation
like you need
of
all the
technology.
after what they done to you.
They basically, were like wastelanders with like supreme technology. I like the Enclave, but like, I would say they're more like raiders with power armor. Is that like a good description?
I think, whereas with power armor, I think that fits more the Brotherhood outcasts in DC more than the main Brotherhood of
Yeah,
Steel.
you're probably right.
Because don't get me wrong about the Brotherhood of Steel.
Sarsaparilla bottles on the bench there?
As you were saying, Nathan, their mission is to preserve technology. Basically, they say technology brought us all here into this shit. We're gonna collect it so that it won't happen again. That won't cause a second apocalypse. And this is a noble goal, really, truly. Don't get me wrong. But they sometimes do it to such an extent that
Tell you
it's
what,
almost
I gotta go
comical.
chase geckos away from our water supply anyway. Darn critters are attracted to it. Why don't you come along?
And of course, not every Brotherhood chapter is like the next one. For instance,
Follow me.
on the East
Just down to the
Coast,
southeast
the
a little bit.
actually recruited Wastelanders into their ranks. On the West Coast, however, they are more shut in. And they are very, very skeptical of outsiders.
Yes, like they're more. They're more like the Marines. East Coast is like the Army, like the U.S. Army and Marines. You know, it's like how they're trained. Like Marines are tough, trained tougher than the Army. Like Marines basically yell at you, whereas people in the Army they're more gentle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, not very good.
And since we are at the topic of Brotherhood of Steel and power armor, first off, for me personally, I'm looking at the picture right now. They nailed it with the power armor, with the design.
Oh yes, the design of it was awesome.
I am looking at a picture of T60 power armor right there, and I'm loving it.
Is what they are.
Really.
Seems like Doc Mitchell treats more
Not
gigabytes
the
than
gun,
anything
of
else.
course. I was chewing Nate an ear off because of what I was thinking of the guns. Maybe I'm gonna fall back into this rabbit hole. Let's see where this goes. But design
You're on.
with the power armor, chef's kiss, truly. I love it. But, and here's a problem. I kind of feel that there, at least in the show, and at least for me, there was not really power in the power armor.
Yeah, especially with like I know what you're saying. Like there's a scene in like early episodes of the show where like this knight Titus was like fighting a Yaogwai, and he basically had his ass handed to him. Like
And
after
this
ran away.
And this is the thing I actually really dislike, because in the lore, when you were a person who owns power armor, you own the fucking wasteland. You are a walking fucking tank in that thing.
Pretty much.
You take rocket launchers, you take miniguns, and probably don't even feel the fucking recoil when you use them. And then there are
True.
scenes where I was wondering, where is the power in power armor? As you said, Nate, where this guy got attacked by the Yaoguai and got his ass handed to him, I was like, is this a joke? This guy should fucking stand up and rip this Yaogai's head off with his bare fucking hands. What is going on? And
Yeah,
then there was another scene where the Brotherhood was fighting against NCR remnants, where a bunch of guys were throwing themselves on top of a guy who was wearing power armor, and they were overpowering him.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? Is this a joke?
Apparently so. It's like it's not consistent. It's like it's either powerful or weak.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when you are that, you are basically just nothing more than a big tin can target and nothing more. What is the reason of having power armor when you are not even a walking tank anymore? What is the reason?
You're getting
Exactly. Yeah, it's like you're trying to intimidate people wearing
If
it.
you want, you can come along. It'd be worth it for
All
the
bark,
captain.
no bites, it seems.
Seems like that.
Shouldn't take more than a couple
Yeah,
minutes,
apparently.
especially with two of us.
Also, the other thing, I may not be as knowledgeable of every bit of lore on hand, and maybe a little rusty since it's been a while since I last watched a lore video, and this is the first time I've properly been playing a Fallout game. But, the NCR Remnant really feels like a very botched attempt to make Moff Gideon's Imperial Remnant.
Oh yes.
Yes. Yes.
This is really well fucking said.
Yeah, like the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Faust.
When I was watching the fighting scene between Brotherhood and NCR quote-unquote troopers, and then I actually fucking saw them. Guys, I want to be completely honest with you. When I heard about the NCR and so on and so forth, I was expecting like the troopers we know and love from New Vegas, like uniforms, armor, rifles like the service rifle they were using, or the carbines, or the repeaters, something like this. I even had hopes for the Rangers. And then I saw this fucking I don't know what to call it. Just remnants. Guerrilla fighters, nothing more. Those aren't professional soldiers, they don't look like professional soldiers, or NCR soldiers in general. They just look like NCR civilians taking up guns.
Yeah, they
That's
they act more like guerrilla fires than like anything else. Like they don't even pose any form of like training, like military training that they might have received. They just act.
I'm looking at a picture again. I am having a bunch of pictures on my screen and different tabs. I'm looking at one right now. And this picture is from this NCR quote-unquote trooper standing on the fucking table, firing his SMG at a fully armed Brotherhood knight.
Yeah, like
Point
that's
blank
gonna do
range.
any. Yeah, like that's gonna do him any good.
You can't fucking tell me this.
Yeah,
this is a soldier or a trooper or anything else. This is literally just a civilian with a gun.
Yeah, he had
Yeah,
better luck
just
throwing
like a
tin cans
waste.
at
Yeah, it just feels like
roaches.
either a civilian wastelander or just like a standard raider. Which, even if the NCR fell apart, even from what I can tell, that's not what would happen. They're too they may be dysfunctional, but they're too organized for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And since we are at the topic of NCR, I think you two know where this is going.
Taxes.
Again, correct me if I am wrong, correct me if I'm saying bullshit, but have we ever got an explanation? Who the fuck nuked the NCR?
I
Well-
think it's implied it was Lucy's dad.
Or like Vault-Tec in general, but because like it's still out there, like it's still like pulling the strings of the Vault Dwellers.
And this is
So,
again,
yes.
this is again a problem of mine personally. Instead of saying and establishing another known faction that is loved by the community and known by the community, Caesar's Legion.
Yeah,
Instead
that
of saying the fucking Legion got their hands on nuclear weapons and used them against the NCR, and also put them in this show for the Legion fans. They rather say, nope, it was protagonist's dad or fucking Vault-Tec.
yeah.
Yeah,
Excuse
but-
me, excuse my language, but this is just bullshit.
Yeah, but what would have made sense? Vault-Tec remnants or like Legion remnants getting our hands on nuclear arms and destroying an entire city? Like, do you really think that the Legion is that smart to even know how to use nuclear weapons? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Faust, or anyone here.
From how I understand, as long as they end up lucking out and it has I think what's effectively like a primer within it, then if it drops, unless it fails, it will go. So, well, it will go off. So, maybe if they got lucky.
And Nathan, you need to remember, this is a TV show of Bethesda's Fallout. Again, Bethesda could have changed or retconned things.
I'm just pointing it out, dude.
I know, because normally I would say
Like, I'm not
no.
denying
Normally,
the inconsistency of Fallout.
Normally I would straight up say no. They would be not smart enough at all to pull something like this off.
That's why I mentioned about them getting lucky.
But since this is a Bethesda production, a Bethesda Fallout series, they could have just, again, retconned and changed things, like they did already.
Yeah, that makes sense. But still, it's like hard to predict these days. It's like 1 minute they can say that Nuka-Cola can like bring you like extra action points. Next day, they can say it can like give you dysentery. Because why not?
I am very much still surprised that we have seen the Broad, we have seen the NCR, we even saw New Vegas at the very end, but has anyone ever lost a word about the Legion? Like, at all?
No.
Like, I mean, at this,
What is the time? I know
this
that
rate, I'm
apparently it is
wondering.
canon to the games. What is the time difference between New Vegas, the game, and the Fallout show? Because I think me and Nate had discussed before. The Legion probably would kind of just fall apart once Caesar dies.
Yeah,
Yes,
if it
but-
does, if
yes,
it's not
but
that
still.
too much kills them, it will definitely be age or some other greedy faction.
And also, you don't forget the Legion controlled a huge territory. Even if the Legion would like fall apart because of whatever reason, there would still be some kind of remnant out there who would cause problems, who would cause trouble, who would enslave, pillage,
That-
plunder, and raise settlements in
That's
Caesar's
true.
name.
Well, there's the other thing of potentially. So, depending on how recently the NCR apparently just got completely wiped off the face of the map, which does not make any sense.
Yep.
Depending on how recent that was, the remnants of the Legion might not end up. They might not have ended up crossing the divide that border divide in New Vegas yet. Because I think we're mainly set in California, and New Vegas I think I'm trying to remember what state it is. It's not California. I know
Nevada.
that.
New Vegas is in Nevada.
Yeah. So it would take them a bit of time to end up getting over to California. But considering they're setting up New Vegas to show up in season 2, if that does happen, then if they are missing completely there, then it's definitely going to be an issue.
Yes.
So I can kind of see why the Legion might have been missing, but it definitely shouldn't from the plans that we can tell of the next season.
At least they should have like some mention of the Legion. Like at least when they like talk about the second and the first battle of Hoover Dam.
Yeah. My best guess as to why they didn't mention anything about at least the second battle of Hoover Dam was just to end up not forcing something to be canon yet. Not wanting to
Yes,
come up.
that's most likely the reason.
Okay.
Like, we know for certain that the canon ending of Fallout 3 is when the Brotherhood rules the Capital Wasteland, right?
Yep.
But the only two games that we do not have a canon ending for would be like Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas. Fallout 4, however, narrows it down to at least two factions that would have won, the Minutemen or the Brotherhood, because the other two endings have it where you basically destroy the Brotherhood and their blimp. So it would make sense for the other to one of the other to factions to have won and controlled Boston. Like, other fans speculated that canon ending for Fallout 4 might have been the Minutemen, due to the fact that you can hear Minutemen radio at some point during the show.
Yeah, the other thing with New Vegas, especially, since it is one of the best Fallout games from what I've heard, fans are going to be very picky as to what they want the canon ending to be.
I mean, what factions can we rule out that are not exactly the canon ending? That's the thing that will probably bug the fans until season 2 comes around.
Exactly.
It's like, we don't know, but Bethesda doesn't even know, so
Hold on.
it's really just up to guess.
Hold on. I think I may have gotten to an exact view of where Lucy's dad was. Looking over to Vegas. Take a look at this. Doesn't that seem like roughly the view that Lucy's dad has of Vegas?
Roughly, yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
Only the view that Lucy's dad had was smaller. They made
smaller?
New Vegas smaller in the show than is in this image. Faust, do you see the image?
Yeah, I saw the image.
Yeah.
And it's true, in the show they really made New Vegas smaller. I have the image right in front of me. And all we see from New Vegas is of course, the Lucky 38, the strip.
Yeah,
And-
Martha's Strip.
And that's pretty much it. Then we have the walls.
Let's see if I can't try and replicate it as best as I can. So I'm going to try and head over and back some more to see if I can't try and get it smaller, but still in view, and see if I can't, just for fun, try and replicate the view that he has. So I can try and find where on the map he technically landed. If there is a good way to find where he landed. And it's not just some made up landscape.
Been I mean, knowing Bethesda, they probably would have made up a landscape that I don't know how to say it,
You need to be
where
careful. It's
Pink
dangerous.
was standing to make New Vegas look smaller.
Our trails cross again, partner.
That is partially due to some of the missing casinos, including Vault 20.
Let's see. Let's see.
Again, I'm just worried what the future will hold for our beloved New Vegas.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about what they're gonna do with New Vegas.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, did they do more changes? Did they more retcons? And if so, are they in favor of everything or not?
Yeah, and also, why did they have to remove like some of the casinos from the image? Like, they could have done like so much more for New Vegas, but the fact that they made it so small, but not so much.
Yeah. I sent an image, see if that's any better. But yeah, I think the only other spot I could get to that could maybe make that work is a giant mountain I don't know that I can climb.
No, you cannot climb in the game.
Just use the no clip command and fly over.
uh, how do you open the commands in the game?
How do you open the commands mouse? Is it like the
Press the button above tab.
oh,
That's how you open the console.
Okay, and then I assume just type in no clip. Yeah. Or let's see. Where is it? No clip for Vegas. Vegas. No. No clip command. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna head up to that hill. See what I can do.
since we're on the topic of New Vegas, do you think it's implied that Mr. House is still alive?
Hard to say.
I hope for
considering-
them he is.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Well, I mean,
most of it is most of it seems is that we see of New Vegas is just the silhouette of the city. Yeah, this peak is probably too steep.
But like
to
in the
be-
show, they like. But anyway, like they showed like Robert House in the show when they were having that little meeting.
Not entirely game accurate, but I guess that was like a younger version of Mr. House. At least is my explanation of what we've seen.
Yeah, like it's not lore accurate because in the game, Mr. House specified that he like predicted that the war. That's why he prepared. Wasn't able to save the world, nor did he care to. But he was able to like create some defenses for New Vegas. Like not enough, but he still had enough, if that makes sense.
Mr. House just deeply cares for Vegas, about its prosperity.
Yeah, we can.
Which is why I absolutely hate the idea that all those mega corporations drop the fucking nukes.
So I've now gotten to I think the
Yeah,
furthest
I don't-
point I could possibly get. How does that look for the visual? The only issue is that this is a very steep mountain.
I think it's similar to what Hank saw. Don't you think, Faust?
Hold on. I need to compare the pictures right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's good enough.
Yeah. The only issue is, give me a moment, I'll show you exactly where I had to stand to get that to work. I had to stand on a mountain that looked like this. Which means that they definitely made up brand new terrain around,
Yes, that's for damn sure.
around, Vegas, because this is where I was standing. On this pointy hill.
And Hank was definitely not standing on top of that.
Yeah.
It was a flat landscape, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a hill for miles.
Yeah. So now we have figured out where in game you need to be if you want to attempt to replicate his view.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah, you
is
just have to use cheats and stand on an impossible mountain.
Yep. That isn't even there in the show.
Yeah.
How wonderful.
Shall we move on to a different topic? This New Vegas thing has been stretched out a little bit because we still have like the entire show to discuss, like certain things, certain characters at least.
True.
Like, I love New Vegas, don't get me wrong, but I also have to like bring up some other things in the show.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Okay, so you know that scene with like Mr. Handy and like he was gonna like harvest Lucy for her organs.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like the same episode where we like found out where the ghoul gets his drug, like
Yeah.
not even feral. Which, let's be honest, it's more of a crutch than anything else.
It is
'Cause, like-
very heavily just a plot point rather than an actual thing that makes any sense.
Yeah, and also the more he like uses that drug, the more that his body relies on it, making it harder for like having to live without it. Like, even though that's the only thing that's like keeping him sane, I don't think it's really good for the plot.
Yeah, the only thing is they seem to have forgotten for the most part about the thing of that the more that you use, the less effective it should be. Because I think it's implied he's been using it for 200 years. That it should not be anywhere near as effective as it still is at that point if they are treating it like logic would have you treat it.
Yeah, it's like
So I get the feeling it's something where they don't actually
over
care
time
for
those
it.
drugs would have gone bad or be less effective.
Yeah, so I don't think they are actually caring about it being less effective over time. I think they just wanted it as a plot thing and didn't do any thinking outside of it. So
Yeah.
your note of that it would end up being less effective, I don't think ends. I think they never thought of that, so it doesn't technically apply in the show. Which just adds to just how much it just feels like an unnecessary plot addition.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Faust?
I'm also very much a little bit mixed about this topic regarding Cooper, because using the same drug for a little more for 200 years, I mean, wouldn't the I'm not an expert in such things. Wouldn't the effect wear off about that amount of time?
Well, it would especially end up being less effective in the sense of his body, in theory, unless ghoul anatomy is so vastly different, it would end up being getting familiar and used to it, so it will start adapting, so it will be less effective, requiring more to end up working in reality.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little side story going on. I have actually nothing against it, but I am very much wondering where it will lead.
Considering it gets mentioned, I think one more time after that episode, I wouldn't be surprised if they forget about it in the second season.
So, yeah.
Like, if they honestly, forget about that drug next season, then they are dumber than a bag of hammers.
And also, the thing with that is, what, does every ghoul need that to just not be feral at all? Or is it something about how long they've been around? Because it makes it seem like every ghoul needs it. No matter
Yeah.
how long they've been around.
That would be a very big major plot point for Fallout in general, if that would be true.
Yeah, because it does feel to me like it is implied as something that every ghoul needs, no matter how long they've been around.
But if that is the case, why wasn't it ever mentioned before in Bethesda's Fallout lore?
Because they might have just made a new retcon just for the sake of they wanted this plot element and plot device.
Jesus Christ.
Would it be the first time that they've done this?
Couldn't have said it better myself, DJ. Definitely not.
One of the things I do recall is, don't the Brotherhood just randomly transport what's the robot's name, from DC to Boston for whatever reason?
Are you talking about Liberty Prime?
Yeah. Don't they just bring him over randomly for whatever reason? Somewhat.
As far as I understand it, Liberty Prime saw action during Fallout 3 in DC, but then got destroyed by the Enclave, and then transported over to Boston to assist Ada Maxon in his mission. But he must be repaired first. Why he got transferred to Boston remains still a mystery, at least for me.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I was like, it seems a lot like they just wanted to reuse the robot.
I'm surprised they didn't for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was using that as an example of, wouldn't be the first time where they just did something because they wanted it for plot reasons.
Yeah,
even if it doesn't necessarily make sense.
that's a good example. Hmm. Also, something I noticed with the Brotherhood in the show is the lack of laser weaponry.
That's true.
Like, the Brotherhood is known for owning laser rifles and pistols and sometimes plasma weapons and Gauss rifles, but yet you never see any of that throughout the show.
Nope. This is also something that I realized a little bit too late. Where I was asking myself, where are the energy weapons they were using constantly in the games?
Yeah, it's like, why are they using these shitty-ass assault rifles and these 10mm pistols?
Calling this thing an assault rifle is an insult, but continue.
I mean, what else do you want me to call it? I can't call.
Well,
Yeah,
from
call
the
it-
image I am seeing right now from the guy inside the power armor and holding the quote-unquote assault rifle, they at least make it look like it's an actual LMG.
Yeah, but they don't call the no LMB in the game, though.
Yeah, I know you
Clearly
can't.
called an assault rifle.
Yes, I know. Don't fucking remind me. I like to see it as for whatever reason, a water-cooled fucking Maxim MG from World War One, but not as an assault rifle. Yeah, Nate, we had this discussion before, okay? I will not repeat myself.
Okay, sheesh.
From what I'm aware, there's technically not an actual classification. It's very... So it's a class of... Assault rifles, assault weapon or rifle is something common in games. From what I understand, it's not technically an actual classification in any solid form. I have seen all sorts of different descriptions of what makes a weapon an assault rifle.
He actually does have a good point there, Faust.
Yeah.
I have seen some people say it is anything above a 22.
Like, is that in caliber, bruh? Like a bullet caliber?
Yeah, anything above
Yeah.
a 22. I have seen
Yeah.
people say
So,
anything above a
22 or
22
just
is an assault
22?
rifle. So it is something where I do not hold much merit to the term, because it is not an actual well-defined term. Rather, it seems like a term often just flung around because it seems more scary or deadly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
But still, back to the topic. Do we have any idea why the Brotherhood said fuck energy weapons and went to ballistic firearms?
I don't
Yeah.
know, because they have seemingly the budget to do it.
Exactly.
They have I could see it if it's more, if they were doing like, if they did it more like a flat out western with like with using like the New Vegas and other settings, and did it like a flat out western style thing because of a somewhat low budget. I could understand no energy weapons, but they seem to have plenty of budget for energy weapons.
Yeah. But apparently in the show, they are too poor to buy energy weapons for you to develop them.
I mean, come on, if they can fucking afford a blimp, they can afford energy weapons, come on.
If they can afford all that power armor, they can afford energy weapons, especially considering, from what I understand, the fusion cores are expensive and very uncommon.
Exactly.
Like, they're literally long-lasting batteries. Fusion energy. And power and energy is very hard to come by yet these days in the wasteland.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's very just unlikely how
Damn, any lawman that comes after me won't have it easy.
how they just have apparently no money for energy weapons.
Yeah.
And
Maybe it's like a hit on, like, you know, how, like, some energy. Yeah. But back to what I'm saying, like, maybe it's like a hit on, like, how some energy weapons are, like, weaker than, like, ballistic weapons. Like, in game, it almost feels like you deal more damage with ballistic weapons than with energy weapons. But that could also be, like, a factor of, like, if you put points into energy
Could be.
weapons. Like, I don't know. I don't most of my points on energy weapons. I mainly do it for, like, speech, barter, or lock picking.
Also, depending on how they go about, how they end up going about saying, depending on how they go about saying it ends up,
Any lawman that comes after me won't have it easy.
yeah, and those energy weapons end up working, also ends up kind of changing it.
Yeah.
Because
Feels like if they actually do bring back energy weapons in the show, would it be like a one-hit kill like they do it in Star Wars? Or would you even be able to shake it off, you know, like a normal bullet? Like, maybe not shake off, but maybe be able to, like, what's the other word? Like, keep going. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yep. Okay, then again, it depends on what kind of armor you are wearing and where you got hit.
Exactly.
I mean, as far as I am seeing it right now in front of me, I think a T60 power armor will be strong enough to withstand some laser fire.
Yes.
But then again, maybe Bethesda changed something about laser weapons and they are suddenly fucking super fucking OP and do one-shot kills, even on power armor, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
That the laser is so fucking powerful that it melts through the armor.
yeah, because depending on how the laser works, really depends on how this ends up working out. Because I think most of the energy aren't a lot of the lasers red.
Yeah, a lot of the lasers are red.
So that would technically mean that they're low powered
Like,
in terms of levels of light frequency. They are low powered.
yeah, but in New Vegas, there's actually like some laser weapons that like shoot green lasers.
Are those more are those do those end up doing more damage usually?
I don't recall. I barely even used that.
Cause that could depending on the answer for that, that could solve the question.
Yeah, but like green lasers in Fallout are like super rare, though.
That could still mean that it explains why they are more powerful. It's going to take more advanced or better at least tech to end up having a more powerful laser than a lower power laser and have it be sustainable.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm done being nice.
Okay, so let's
Go over soon.
talk about Thaddeus, the squire who turned himself into a ghoul. Like, it's not much to talk about, but
For years, the NCR.
I would like to point some things out. For someone who's in the Brotherhood of Steel, you would have thought that he would have aimed better, or at least decently, out a scope.
Shot the place up after we got payback on Ringo.
Because that scene where he was gonna shoot at Maximus and Lucy, he like missed every single shot, and he like commented like, I'm not good without us. It's like, dude, you're literally trained by the Brotherhood of Steel, but like you shouldn't have to rely on scope.
Depends on if he was trained with iron sights or not.
Well, if he hasn't, then he's a goddamn moron.
Rob some people, burn some things, kill a few.
Here's something I actually kind of know. I think it's actually becoming more common for people to train with scopes and not iron sights. Which would make them not be as good with iron sights. It's still kind of dumb, but it is more commonly than not actually. It's actually apparently becoming more common for that to make sense.
I mean, for me, I was first learning how to use a gun. I started out with iron sights, no scopes.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. I actually don't recall if I have ever used an actual scope.
Me neither. Well, actually, never mind, I have. Like, what else can we talk about?
Oh, you know what's a good, big, important thing to talk about?
What?
Just how crappy the excuse of what the experiment was with the triple vaults. That is such a waste.
Yeah, but from what I can tell, like, how they specified in the show is that, like like Vault 31, I think it was. They like had like several pre-war employees of Vault Tech like in some sort of trials stasis, and then like every once in a while like some sort of computer releases them, and then they like go out to either Vault 32 or Vault 33 and they meet for some reason, because it's like, what difference does that make?
They're not great, but you get what you pay
I
for.
get kind of that they're like, oh look, it's a thing of all the elites, and they're just breeding the next generation based on themselves. But at the same time, that is getting so lucky in the terms of the vault lottery, especially when there's 3 vaults on top of each other, and you know Vault Tech wouldn't want to miss out on the opportunity to make that a really, really bad, a really, really bad experiment.
Yeah. What do you think, Faust?
To be quite honest, I'm out of DJ on this one.
No. It's like, you would have thought that like a corporation like Vault-Tec was developed several vaults, most of which contain like a awful experiment, like Vault Jewelers had to select an overseer to sacrifice, and also they had one where like there was one male among like 999 females.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's Faust's favorite vault right there. And of course, there's also the iconic Vault 13. It's basically like the first ever vault ever shown in the entire franchise. Not the first one ever, not the first one ever built, mind you, but the first one ever shown. And their experiment was basically simple. It was basically like a water ship was like automatically set to like, you know, be destroyed, and then like the overseer had to choose an individual amongst the population to go out and like find the water ship, which then in return sprung the entire franchise to where it is now.
Cool.
Like, the overseer of that vault was a bit of a dick, but kind of have to give him credit where credit is due. Like, without him, technically, the entire franchise wouldn't have existed.
I mean, also with that one, if that's 13, that means that that's still one of the early ones that they have going. That was still one of the first couple ones that they built.
Yes.
However, by 31, simple experiments should no longer be on the table.
Definitely not.
No.
And this seems like a way too simple of an experiment for that.
Take it easy now.
For 31, 32, and 33 all together.
I can definitely agree with that. Like, especially if those three both are like next to each other, but you would have thought that they would have thought of something big. It's like have like each of them have like a big role to play in the grand scheme of things, rather than just like a giant breeding farm.
Yeah, or have like two that seem normal, and then have the third introduced, and then do like a variation of the one vault where you had the drug addicts, but instead of drug addicts, you just have two normal vaults, and then you have one that introduces it to these normal people.
Yeah.
Something like that would make more sense, even if it's still somewhat simple. Because at least then it's actually something terrifying instead of something relatively mundane that ends up not being any reason for 32 to end up basically committing suicide. And destroying themselves over finding
that
out.
Always confused me.
It's not a big enough deal for that to make any sense.
Exactly.
It's too mundane for that. If it were even something like 4, that would make more sense. But it wasn't that. It was just something way too mundane.
Yeah, and I also realized that there isn't a whole lot of vaults in the show. Like, how many vaults that are in, like, New Vegas or in Fallout 4?
I would argue that there's only really 2 vaults in that show.
Well, technically there's 4, because you
Technically,
also
yes. Technically there's 4, but 31, 32, and 33 are all basically just the same vault. That there's nothing distinct between them. They feel like just one big vault.
True, but like each vault is like its own underground city. Yeah, to realize you have to realize that. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Vault 31 is like a small so yeah, I guess we'll count 31, 32, and 33 as one.
Yeah, I'm noting that as technically not necessarily not saying that there is only 2, but technically it feels like there's only 2.
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I did like the idea of Cooper being around since before and actually knowing what's going on.
Yeah, I think that was a nice touch.
Yeah, because his whole character is basically the old wiser character, so it ends up being fitting for him. It feels to actually know more things than anyone else would.
You want to know what the problem with Bethesda is, besides everything? It's the fact that, like, most of their stories always start off with a vault dweller in a vault. Like, think about it. You have Fallout 3, with the Lone Wanderer, right? Fallout 4 with the Sole Survivor, and Fallout 76 as the Pioneers. Like, if you look at the other Fallout games that are out there, like Fallout 2, New Vegas, and tactics. They don't start off as in a vault in Fallout 2, but you have the Chosen One, which is a descendant of a Vault Dweller, but of the Vault Dweller, mind you, who was banished from Vault 13 at the end of the game, and found a new tribe of tribals, and he was raised by them, chosen, and so was the Chosen One.
Don't mention it.
And then you have Fallout New Vegas, which is basically like a clean slate for the character. Like, no backstory or anything, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. This is the reason why New Vegas is so loved
I was out for a
across the community, because you are not.
Interesting.
Saw what looked like a bunch
On
of
the
bad
topic
eggs.
of not just having a vault dweller, what if
Once they'd run off,
it kind of was done in the show, but it could have, but you know,
so I hauled you off to the
let's
dock
say
right
if we ended up doing something where we didn't have the stupid medicine, but you played as a ghoul. That could potentially be interesting.
I moseyed in.
I have thought of like a
15 years ago. Before that,
multiplayer, like an idea for a multiplayer Fallout besides 76. Like, instead of like starting out as like a Vault Dweller, you are basically like a Wastelander, and you actually get to choose your race, like how you do in Skyrim. Like, you can either become a ghoul, like you said, DJ, or you can even become a super mutant or a synth.
You'd have to also think of downsides for each of them, though.
Well, of course, me and Faust thoroughly thought of downsides. Like for a super mutant, you would obviously have like low intelligence, but you can also be able to carry a lot of stuff. But you wouldn't know how to do like smart things like understanding medicine or hacking a terminal. And maybe like your hands would be like too big to like lockpick small locks.
And then maybe, and then you could eventually upgrade those other skills, but that way the other people you're playing with also end up or upgraded to the point where it's a fair fight.
Yeah, exactly. Like for a ghoul, you basically are like a normal human, only you heal from radiation, but you have like a chance of like losing control over yourself, like becoming feral. Like not for like forever, but like for a short period of time.
Like a temporary insanity of like, say, 5-10 seconds where you attack whatever's nearby.
Exactly.
And because you are a ghoul, you are disliked by almost everyone.
Yeah. The same could be said if you're like a super mutant or a synth.
Yeah.
For like a synth, you are basically like harder to kill with like ballistic weapons, but like energy weapons can like shred through your health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think we also like talked about like stim packs not working on you due to you being like a machine mostly.
Exactly.
But unless you're like
they
a
could
human
technically
stim,
help your disguise, in theory, because don't they end up having like aren't they somewhat like a T-800 where they end up having a fleshy outside, even if it's a fake fleshy outside?
yes.
Yeah, so in theory you could use that to help
Like
repair your disguise so that people can't tell you are one. But it won't necessarily actually heal you much. It would only heal you however much your armor is.
Yeah, exactly.
But as much as this would be interesting to continue discussing, I'm realizing we are sidetracked right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like, before that I was talking about, like how some of the best Fallout games that you don't start off as, like, a vault dweller. I mean, with that being said, like, Fallout 3 is okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I
think
honestly,
what I'm trying to say is that, like, the story is unoriginal, like how it starts. You know, it's like you're a vault dweller, you have this and that, and then you have to go out and find
something
or someone.
Your average Bethesda experience.
Like, good job, you're a vault dweller. You have to find a water chip for us. Good luck. Don't get killed. And then, like, a second later, you're basically ripped to shreds by a deathclaw. Also, speaking of which, there is no deathclaws in the show.
And I am heavily disappointed.
Yeah, but what would have made you more disappointed?
Honestly,
that they added deathclaws that were weak, or
honestly, there seems like there's only the only enemies that there seems to be is a handful of ghouls, one Yaogwai, and then whatever the thing in the river was. That seems like the vast majority of the enemies outside of the NCR troopers.
Yeah, just kind of makes it look stale, doesn't it? I mean, of course, there's also, like, occasional rad roaches. Also, if we're talking about, like, the animals in the show, but can I, like, bring up the fact that, like, most of the animals in the show still have their fur? It's like, you're in a radiated wasteland, they should not have fur. Especially not the Brahmin. Like a Brahmin had, like, a little bit of hair, but not that much. But yet, in the show, the Brahmin have, like, a whole set of hair where, like, they don't even look like they've been through hell, other than the fact that they have two heads protruding out of their bodies.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned to you this. I had seen that apparently the nuclear radiation should not be lasting anywhere near as long as it is in games. So theoretically, it would make sense that they would be having hair back at 200 years later, but at the same time, that's not how the games are written, and the show is written, so no, they probably shouldn't.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, sure, I guess they can regrow hair back, but it's not how they specify in the show. Like, as far as I can tell, a Brahmin...
As far as I can tell, the show implies that there's still a bunch of...
hair.
As far as the show implies, it seems that there's still a lot of radiation in the air that should be causing more issues than it seems to be doing.
Yeah. Also, for being Fallout, I don't think there should be that many farm animals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, the, the Vault Dwellers just needing to be the good guys and being morally superior with not just killing the fucking bandits.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell are they?
It's like, no. No.
Like, they're basically like the guys from Demolition Man. Like, that's basically what it is, dude. Like, you can't deny my statement.
I'm laughing because of how accurate it is.
It's like, we should be gentle to these raiders, even though they killed my husband and my child's father. Mother, we should also protect them and feed them, even though they basically ate and stole our food and our overseer.
This was one of the moments I wanted to punch from my screen.
Is that before or after you blew it up?
Before.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing that stops them from directly seeming 100% like the guys from Demolition Man is just that they aren't looking to their Pip Boys and being like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah, there is that.
No, they're just that dumb on their own.
Also, for being like a vault, I don't they like get used dart guns instead of like actual guns. It's like, what is up with that?
Honesty, probably just the writers being like, we need them to at least think that they are the most morally good people possible. We can't have them actually just killing people or killing things. So let us have dart guns instead. Which is dumb.
Agreed. Like, especially if you're trying to deal with, like, multiple raiders at once, it would be, more than convenient to use an actual gun rather than a blow dart where you have to, like, manually reload each and every dart that you have.
Yeah, plus, especially after raiders, you just dealt with the raiders, so you can expect you're gonna have to kill people. You don't go out into the wasteland with only a dart gun.
Yeah, especially if you're going up against creatures that are like bigger than they once were and have really adapted to like kill humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what good is a blow dart gonna do against a Yaogwai? If or any of the animals for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, in most
Also,
cases, nothing.
Yeah. Also, since we're on the topic of vault dwellers, can we talk about the ones in Vault 4? The mutants?
Yeah.
In my opinion, the mutants are very dumb.
They are.
You think?
I don't think I know. It's like, when they found out that, like, Lucy, went to, like, the forbidden section of the vault, they, like, had her tied down to, like, sand, and where, like, the overseer had a katana raised over her head. It looked like they were gonna chop off her head, like they do it in Alice in Wonderland. But no, the overseer lets her go, and then he uses the katana to cut the rope and banishes her from the vault. Like, to you is that, who the hell does that?
Most people, apparently.
My only thing that I can say for them is that is that if they are to be technically the original dwellers, then I guess, and it had been caused by experiments, it must have, like, damaged the brains somehow.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree.
Yeah, I feel like those.
But
I
there's
feel like
also
those
a thing
ones.
called the common sense.
Not everyone has common sense, especially seemingly a bunch of scientists let loose to play with whatever they want.
Yeah, you're right. They also don't have morality either. The scientists, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so.
Anything else you want to say, Faust? You've been quiet for a while.
To be honest, I have nothing to add to those beauties.
Yeah, I know that Nate had ended up getting annoyed with me that I didn't catch that they were gonna be the Vault Dwellers at first. Not like clones or anything, but I would say in my defense, this is first time I've properly played a Fallout game, and I've not been watching any of the I had not been watching any of the trailers, which apparently from trailer footage was part of how
there.
Yeah, and because apparently the trailer footage is part of how he solved that.
Yeah, and he apparently didn't also watch the trailers as well, Faust. So there is that.
There was also the thing of, they seem to retcon things. So who's to say they didn't retcon something when it comes to a new form of mutant?
True that.
So there was reason for me to not just immediately suspect that.
Yeah, and also at the end of the episode, I mentioned when you finished watching it,
beyond me, unless you didn't listen very closely.
I was like, I would have killed every single one of those mutants, just stupid they are. Not that I would kill someone who was stupid, but just those mutants.
She took control of this place almost 2 years ago.
Like Corrigan would be proud.
She says humans are to be killed on sight.
God bless the Enclave.
Was a peaceful community.
God bless America.
Cast an invitation to mutants throughout the wasteland.
Compare that with what I would have probably done. I probably would have left them, and they probably would have still ended up dying.
The community ended up being
but I would have given them the opportunity to maybe learn.
Fine until the Natters came along, led by Tabitha.
even though they
Your
probably
tongue's
never
all
would have.
beauty.
Second gen's thinking she was some
If they even want to learn, that is.
broadcasting her truth, not Marcus. Marcus saw what was coming and decided to leave before things got out of hand. He smashed the radio and left to found Jacobstown.
Honestly, if they do a mod where they have like Vault 4 in
I suppose you could say I came here as a
for like any of the games, I would honestly download it just so
the second gen's ready to revolt or to come to Jacobstown.
like that's how badly I would.
Down here, on the other hand, I've saved.
I would download it only to kill everybody. You sound like me.
I have my own reasons to stay away from Jacobstown for a while.
You're right, it's over, beauty.
So I've stayed
Time to die.
the opposite of Black Mountain.
You've gotten a lot farther than you should have. But then again,
You haven't met Frank Corrigan either.
you've never met Faust the Terror.
The Night King are vicious in combat.
You're
So,
right.
in short, World 4 is terrible and everybody inside that deserves to die.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
Good. Moving on.
mad over time.
Okay.
They spend most of their time at the top of the mountain. But
I
patrol the
think
roads after dark
overall
as well.
it is.
You do well to avoid the mountain at
I
night.
think the show is really kind of right in the middle, but has potential that it is not really living up to at all.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, there's some good parts about it, but not enough for me to like mention it or to bring up really. Like the only things that are good are like props and cool, of course.
Yeah.
Like I completely agree with the DJ here. It honestly felt like they had like two different story writers, one for the cool and one for like everything else.
The only other.
Yeah, one second, I'm gonna. Yeah.
See. Yeah, we kind of just had Lucy, the idealistic idiot, Maximus, the self-centered, revenge-driven kind of just asshole, and we had the ghoul, who actually was decent.
Yeah, and who actually knew the least
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's also the
plan
thing
better than
of,
like any of them, to be honest.
oh yeah, there's also the thing where with the scientist, the dumb thing with that they couldn't let a main character kill the scientist for some reason. That was dumb when they didn't let the ghoul kill the scientist, even though he's a bounty hunter. It's just business.
Exactly.
Oh no, our main character is going to kill an important character that we need. That how could we let him kill them? We can't. We must make him live long enough to die otherwise. That leads to such a stupid series of events, because it then leads to them having to replace his foot. Apparently, three to four people not realizing that there are stim packs in the room to stop the bleeding with.
I don't think stim packs stop bleeding. Rather,
Well,
they like heal the wound quicker.
well, even then, you using one of those to end up getting it to heal up better and faster, so that he wouldn't bleed out while walking. So instead, he starts bleeding out while walking, and then dies his convoluted death.
Actually, I think he also took like a pill to like kill him.
To speed it up because he could see that
himself,
he was bleeding out.
Like a cyan capsule.
Yeah, I think because he could already tell he was gonna bleed out, and be a major hindrance in terms of Lucy's supplies she only had for one person.
Yeah. You have any other thoughts, Faust?
Not for my part.
Yeah, I feel like their best bet going forward would shift the main character over to the ghoul.
Yeah, because like Lucy's story arc really isn't that important.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, I already replaced Lucy with the ghoul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, their best bet is replace Lucy with the ghoul as the main character, and maybe try and fix her flaws of not adapting at all by having the ghoul be like a replacement father figure.
That would be spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah, that would end up working a lot better.
And that would honestly, boost up like the popular vote for Fallout in general.
Mm-hmm. I'm also realizing Cooper had a daughter. This would work perfectly.
Yeah, but I feel like you would say the same thing to like Dogmeat. To like, you're not the same.
Probably, but the point being.
Because like I think
But the point being.
I know what you're getting at. Yes, I know what you're getting at. Like it would be interesting to see that. But I also have like a feeling that it will like turn out like he probably sees Lucy as the same way he sees Dogmeat.
Well,
if you know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. What I was gonna say specifically though that since he was a father, he also would be very well suited, therefore, to take on a fatherly role, even if it's not gonna feel necessarily the same to him. He has experience being a father, so he would be able to, even if it's not going to be the same, it would actually make sense for him and not just be like, oh, we want to just make our character end up having this older, wiser character be the new father figure.
Yeah.
It wouldn't just be kind of one-sided. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else that we have going on? Or thoughts on either what's in the show or what the second season should be?
I honestly hope that we do see Mr. House in season 2.
I really, really hope so too. And maybe, just maybe, when we are lucky, maybe we see some familiar faces too. Some other ones, I mean.
As long as they do the right,
Depending on...
at
hang
least.
on.
Nice to seeing familiar faces, but wait, yeah.
So, let's see. Again, that would depend on year of, between New Vegas and, the show. But, like, you could at the very least maybe encounter Victor and Yes Man, as well as Mr. House. Since Mr. House has his life extending thing, and the other two are Securitrons.
Yeah, but one of them is more like so you can like control Vegas.
Also, what I
Which I mean, Yes Man, of course.
what I also hope is that we maybe get some more answers on what happened. For example, maybe if we see Mr. House in the show, that he will provide the protagonist, Lucy, for example, with some answers if she managed to find him, telling her what exactly did happen to the NCR who actually dropped the nuke on them, what happened to the Legion, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be nice to see.
Again, I am a Fallout 1, Fallout
Nice
2,
to have
and New
answers.
Vegas geezer, so I really hope we see something like this.
Same here.
Anyone else?
I definitely feel like it would definitely be way more interesting to end up seeing more, they simultaneously need to work on their they need to simultaneously work on getting better at their story writing while also being better at their at making things, while also really they need to get better at their characters is the biggest issue.
Yes. Like, I hope next season they like create like better characters for them. Like watch the old characters grow with the next season.
Yeah, because that's the other big issue. They almost seem stagnant. Maximus slightly learns humility. The ghoul admittedly doesn't need to end up really growing much. He's a well-traveled character already.
Yeah, but I hope that Lucy actually learns a thing or two from the ghoul and actually knows to survive.
Yeah.
Not being like some pussy-foot and vault dweller who can't even defend themselves.
Yeah. And the thing with Lucy is she is the worst of it because it is shown she is apparently good at all sorts of things and yet is so incapable of surviving the wasteland for no good reason.
Yeah.
When for her character based on that shouldn't make any sense. She seems like the character that should be able to adapt easily, but just because the writers of the show don't want her to, she can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, anything. If anyone else has any idea, if no one else has any other ideas of what to say, then I think we might end up considering this the end of the review.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of topics. We made a lot of good points. You provided most of them, DJ, and Faust, you also helped with a lot of things, even if you partially watched the show.
So then I guess I'll see everyone next time.
Bye-bye.
Hello.
I'll have to give me a moment to end up actually exiting out of the stream this time around, just because this is not one of the ones that likes Fallout doesn't seem to actually like having me exit it in order to mess with the stream.
Well, to be fair, it is an old game.
Yeah. Let's see. That, yeah.